Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chief Tom Hackney, JSO. Yesterday, on the Emerson Inn on Phillips Highway, a call was received at the JSO dispatch at 5:52 p.m. The call was that two parties were involved in a fight and shots were being fired at the hotel. There were 4 officers who were dispatched to the call. When the officers arrived, they took a tactical approach. The officers split up. A couple officers went around the back, a couple officers went up to the front. There was a witness at the scene who pointed out to one of the officers the suspect who was involved in the fight and was also armed. That officer actually saw the suspect. He was on the second floor balcony of the hotel. That suspect was holding a gun in his hands. After repeated verbal commands to the suspect to drop the gun, the suspect did not comply. The officer then shot at the suspect 5 times. That suspect was struck in the arm and the chest. That suspect was then transported to Shands Hospital, where he currently is in critical condition. The officer involved in the shooting is identified as Matt Edwards, a 16-year veteran of JSO. This is Officer Edwards' first officer-involved shooting, and he was placed on administrative leave per our policy after the shooting. The suspect was armed with a .40 caliber, high-point semi-automatic pistol. Photograph is demonstrated there. The gun was loaded. The suspect is still not yet identified. He is in the hospital and is not able to communicate with us. We can't determine if the other party in the fight with him, the relationship between the suspect and that other party in the fight. However, this is not a random act. This was a dispute between these two parties who appear to have been known to each other. And again, only one party in this was armed. That was the person who was shot. The suspect in this case appears to be of Hispanic descent and maybe goes by the nickname of Coco. Again, we've not been able to communicate with the suspect due to his medical condition, so his identity is not known, and we're seeking anyone who may have some information as to who the suspect is. Again, he may go by the name of Coco. He appears to be of Hispanic descent and was not a resident of the hotel at that time. If somebody has some knowledge about who this could be, we'd appreciate a call to JSO at 630-0500 or call to Crime Stoppers at 1-800-845-TIPS, 1-800-845-8477. I can answer a few questions.
So you said when you addressed us yesterday, you said that it appeared that both the shooting victim and the guy that he was fighting with were both armed. But are you now saying that only the victim, who's in the hospital now, was armed?
Since yesterday, our investigative efforts have determined that only one of the parties involved was actually armed, and that was the suspect who we shot.
Were the other people who were involved in the fight residents of the Emerson Inn, or why were they there?
There's a lot of traffic at that particular motel. Appears that the parties that were involved, there was 2 parties involved in the actual fight. One of the suspects fled on foot that was involved. We've not been able to talk to him as well or actually identify him. Witnesses have told us, though, that there were 2 parties involved in that fight. One party was armed. The other person who was not armed fled the scene. The person that was armed was the one that was shot by the police.
So are you looking for anyone else to question, that other person to question them, or are they?
The other person involved in that dispute, we would certainly like to have a conversation with. It may actually help us identify who the person who was shot was.
Any other questions?
The other person, once you find him, could he be facing any charges related to this?
We've got to figure out who he is first. When we talk to him, we can make some determinations after we interview and talk to him.
It seems like there have been quite a few problems over the years at the Emerson Inn. Is there anything that you guys, have you guys had a problem with, responding there a lot to fights or, any sorts of crimes?
I'd have to pull the actual numbers of that. Those hotels, we have had issues throughout the years down there. However, the patrol has a fairly strong response in that metro area over there on Phillips and Emerson area.
There was an ag battery, Chief, about 2 months ago. Friday night, a car was shot at, bullet holes in it. Just another of the incidents that you're referring to that happened there, or any connection?
Yeah, there's nothing indicating any kind of relationship between an ag battery that occurred there and what occurred last night with the officer-involved shooting. The patrol division is responsive to those kind of incidents when they occur. They beef up patrol, as it was the case last night.
How do you spell Coco?
I'm assuming C-O-C-O, Coco.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank y'all.